What it do, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You guys said you wanted me to react to some Fate lore. You said you wanted me to react to All Servants Explained. And so we're going to start with how Archer became who he is. Counter guarding Emiya Explained. And I really wanted to watch this because I just finished the Unlimited Blade Work series on Netflix. I finished Heaven's Field, the first two movies. And so no, I'm intrigued. And so we're going to go ahead and jump in and see what we got.
I really wanted to start this episode with some spectacular opening line because, you know, it's Shiro Emiya, Fate's poster boy himself. He's in pretty much every variation and timeline of the Fate series, and even when he's not, he still kind of is. But for some reason, I just couldn't think of anything quite fitting enough to introduce this absolute legend. Just to be clear though, I'm not talking about this Shiro. I'm talking about this Shiro. The fake
I thought you were talking about Shiro,
the protector of balance, but most importantly, a hero of justice.
Yes, sir. I think he is. Shiro is that guy, man. He's that guy.
I'm sure all of you are already very familiar with pre-heroic spirit Shiro. I mean, he's the main character of the most popular Fate anime, so it's only natural.
Man, ain't nobody got heart like Shiro Emiya, man. Ain't nobody got the heart. My guy don't even live for fun, to enjoy life or form. He literally lives to save people. That is his only mission in life. That's my guy, man.
Shiro. I mean, he's the main character of the most popular Fate anime, so it's only natural that you're aware of who he is. But you probably have so many questions regarding how he was even able to be summoned as a servant in the Fifth Holy Grail War. Like, what made him become a heroic spirit in the first place? How did he die? Why does he want to kill his past self? And so on and so forth. So let's place ourselves at the end of the Fifth Holy Grail War, where Shiro and Saber have just destroyed the Holy Grail after winning the war together. They part ways shortly after because Shiro was unable to help Saber fulfill her true wish. So Shiro goes to London with Rin instead to study magecraft. It's there he becomes obsessed with the idea of being a hero of justice. Not like he wasn't already infatuated with the idea before. But in order to realize his true potential, he starts to work as a magus for hire. But no matter what training and experience he got, his abilities just were never at the point where he wanted them to be. Nevertheless, he persisted, even if it did mean fighting against corrupted entities similar to Angela-Mainyu, who were far stronger than him. He would simply retreat and try again. A little later down the road, Shiro is faced with a crisis where 100 lives hang in the balance. Realizing that his current self would be unable to save them, the world, or more specifically, Alaya, appears before Shiro offering him absolute power in exchange for his service as a counter-guardian after death. But what even is Alaya, or this so-called counter-guardian? Well, Alaya refers to the collective will of mankind to survive. It's one of two components of the world, along with Gaia, which refers to the planet's will to survive. Don't get the two confused though. Alaya only drives on the existence of humanity, whereas Gaia will not hesitate to just kill all of mankind if the planet as a whole is at risk. So these—
God dang, Gaia! Don't do humanity and mankind like that. Sheesh. But that obviously Shiro's gonna take that deal. To save people, he'll do whatever it takes. So obviously
hesitate to just kill all of mankind if the planet as a whole is at risk. So these two supernatural entities that exist outside of space and time work together to make up what's called the counterforce. And the counterforce is basically an instinctual reaction that prevents the destruction of the world by summoning super OP creatures or counter-guardians to restore balance. How they restore balance though, we'll get into that shortly. Now back to Shiro. Being presented with the ability to save everyone, he doesn't hesitate to enter this contract with Alaya. As far as Shiro was concerned, not only would he be able to save those 100 people, he would also be able to continue saving people after death as a counter-guardian. Or so he thought anyway. Now with his newly gifted powers to essentially create miracles, he is able to save countless lives and through that achieves enough fame to enter into the throne of heroes and be classified as a heroic spirit. Shiro's final act as a human was bringing an end to a great war, but somewhere along the way he was betrayed and he became branded as the root cause of it. As such, humanity, being the forgiving creatures that they are, turned their back on him and sentenced him to death. It is in death—
that little line, he said, humanity, being the forgiving creatures that they are, turned his back on him and sentenced him to death. No, but that's crazy. Like, he literally dedicated his life to saving people. He ended the war, a great war. Yet they betrayed him. They turned their back on him. They blamed him for the cause of it and hung it. That's crazy. That
being the forgiving creatures that they are, turned their back on him and sentenced him to death. It is in death that Shiro's new existence as a counter-guardian begins. All pumped up and ready to start saving people again, Shiro quickly realizes that it's not at all what he was expecting it to be like. Although he did end up using his godlike powers to save humanity time and time again, the method in which he did it was the complete opposite of everything he stood for. You see, when Emiya realizes that humanity is entering a rabbit hole of destruction, it will send a single agent to eliminate the threat. And when I say eliminate, I don't mean simply take out all those deemed guilty by the world. I mean kill everything and everyone that's remotely close to the area that he was sent to. It's pretty much the world just saying, fuck it, let's start over and just nuke this place. And that's exactly what Shiro did. He would save humanity from its own demise by killing again and again and again. And as I said, this wasn't just killing a guilty few. The casualty count probably numbered in the millions each time. That's only a wild guess, but considering that it's assumed the sinking of Atlantis was caused by Emiya, then a couple million might even be on the low side. So Shiro spends eons as Emiya's agent, manifesting back on Earth at different points in time to repeatedly witness and enact the very opposite of what he stood for. Eventually, he just came to realize that his ideal was a lie, and that Kiritsugu was right. It's impossible to save everyone.
Bro, his heart must have fell out of his chest. When you think about all the people that you have to kill, his ideal is to save everyone. He's a hero of justice. But yet, now as a counter guardian, he not only has to kill those that are guilty, he has to kill everyone in the area. The innocent along with the guilty. Now I'm starting to click like why his heart went so cold. Like, oh my, I see why.
His ideal was a lie,
and
that Kiritsugu was right. It's impossible to save everyone. It's easier to just maintain a balance and save the majority at the cost of a few. It just so happened that in Shiro's case, the few were scaled to a much larger number. But when compared to humanity as a whole, it was still a small price to pay. Eventually, Shiro became fed up with his existence as a counter-guardian. He essentially spent all eternity faced with the fact that no matter what he did, he wouldn't ever be able to save everyone, and this became a truly painful existence for him. As such, he devised a plan to free himself from his role as Emiya's agent of death. He saw an opening as a heroic spirit to be summoned as a servant during the Fifth Holy Grail War. That way, if he was able to kill his past self before ever being able to form a contract with Emiya, it would create a big enough time paradox that it would erase his existence as a counter-guardian. So, as you already know, he finally got his chance and was summoned as an archer in the Fifth Holy Grail War. And that puts us right back to the beginning of where we started. From what I understand though, the timeline where Shiro becomes a counter-guardian and the timeline where Heroic Spirit Shiro is summoned are two completely different universes. They're alternate timelines representing two different potential futures for Shiro. That way, it doesn't end up becoming an infinite loop of Shiro always becoming a counter-guardian, then regretting it, and returning back to the Fifth Holy Grail War to prevent it from happening. Which,
bro, hold up, big shout out to Annie News for explaining this so perfectly. Like, it makes sense. And you understand why Shiro would want to go back and kill his past self to create that paradigm, because he's having to stand against the ideals that he stood for his entire life. Shiro don't even want to kill one person, yet he's having to kill mass people on a huge scale. He's having to kill all these innocent people. And of course you got to do it to save humanity, but dang. I see why he wanted to go back and kill himself so badly. Like, it makes complete sense.
The Guardian, then regretting it, and returning back to the Fifth Holy Grail War to prevent it from happening.
Infinite time
which makes me wonder then, who was Rin's servant in the timeline where Shiro does become the counter-guardian? Because I don't think it would be Heroic Spirit Shiro, otherwise they'd already be in an infinite loop. If you're more familiar with how the timelines are split, then let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know more about Shiro's timeline from before he was summoned in the Fifth Holy Grail War. But yeah, that's the legend of Heroic Spirit and counter-guardian Shiro Emiya. In life, he was betrayed time and time again by those he had trusted. He only had his strong belief and ideals to go by. But the world had other plans for him, and in the end, even those ended up betraying him. resulting in his eternal desire to find a way to cease existence. It's really quite the tragedy when you think about it, but I guess that's what Fate's known for. A few other important bits of information regarding Shiro during his time as a servant are the circumstances of his summoning and the lack of memories he has from his time as a human. He's able to be summoned because throughout eternity he had kept the jewel that Rin used to save his life, and this jewel just so happened to also be the catalyst that was used by Rin at the time of the summoning. Once summoned though, he claims that the only memory he recalls from his time alive was the summoning of Saber and the day that he was saved by Kiritsugu, although he seems to also remember Rin after seeing her face, but that's pretty much it. If you're also wondering why Shiro's complexion seems to have changed over time, there's actually
how
a
did
reason.
his hair go from red to white? I always thought, I was like, because I didn't think, because I was like, how is that future Shiro if his hair is like white? Like, but I guess
If you're also wondering why Shiro's complexion seems to have changed over time, there's actually a reason for it. Apparently, years and years of projection magic, along with literally using his body as materials to produce these projections, are what caused his skin to darken and his eyes and hair to whiten. It turns out that the whole "I am the bone of my sword" thing, it has some literal meaning behind it. As for his alter appearance, I have no idea, don't ask me. So that's pretty much all the essential information you need to understand the counter-guardian turned heroic spirit, Shiro Emiya. Is he still a hero for justice? I guess that depends on what your definition of justice is.
I think he is.
Now, this is normally where I'd segue into his abilities and noble phantasms, but I didn't quite realize how complex his unlimited Bladeworks reality marble was, so I'll make that into its own separate video that I promise will come out much sooner than you think. I apologize for the recent influx of My Hero Academia content, but I assure you, a lot more explained videos are on the way, both for Fate and for Overlord. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of anime content, then you already know what to do. So until next time, ciao.
That's crazy, bro. Any news, I rock with this dude heavily because he explained that so perfectly. And I can't wait to watch more and hear him explain all these heroes and who they are and how they got their power and why they're heroic spirits, what they did in their life as a human. Like, I love this stuff. It's very interesting to me. But I do want to get to that Archer, like his noble phantasms, all that. I do want to hear him explain the how complex and all that is. But that's all we got for this one. I'll see y'all in the next one. It's your boy D Neal out.